Do you think that the Muslims in general do a better job at putting respect on their faith that Christians don't?
Yeah, Islam, you have to. I've said, look, I speak negatively a lot of the time. I speak out against problems within Islam, but you do have to simply admire the strength, and the unwillingness to bend. Yeah. They will not budge at all. And I'll give you an example of a story on this. Yeah. So when I set up the English Defence League, I was invited by the Bishop of Pontefract. So this is under the Queen. We have the bishops who are part of the whole Church of England. They contact us and said, we want to sit around the table in a secret meeting with the leaders of the Deobandi sect of Islam, because MI5 predict that the Deobandis will control Great Britain. Yeah, the Deobandi sect, which is a very conservative sect of Islam, will be the main dominant sect of Islam in the UK. So the Muslim mullah that we met speaks at the Golden Dome Mosque in Israel. Yeah, so we went for this meeting. And I just speak frank. So when we went for this meeting, it was to, what's wrong? What's the problem? So I'll tell you the problem. Don't worry. Yeah, I'll tell you every problem. But then the leader of the church, the Bishop of Pontefract, his name was Tom Robinson as well. Actually, he said, so we try and bring everyone together. He said, so we had a Christmas event together with the Muslims. I said, what, you had like a Christmas dinner? He said, yeah. I said, did you have wine? And he said, no, we didn't have wine. I said, so you had a Sharia-compliant Christmas dinner? You had a Sharia-compliant Christmas dinner. Why didn't you have wine? What, because they don't like wine? I said, what? They don't bend at all. They will not bend at all. Yeah, you're bending, you're changing your culture, you're changing your laws, you're changing your country's identity. You're bending everything, you're sacrificing everything, whilst Islam just goes full steam ahead, because they ain't going to move. And on the whole LGBTQ plus alphabet mafia, on that, like, you have to respect. And again, some people could watch what I say and believe. I do have very strong opinions about the Islamisation of Europe. I believe we need to stop it. It has to be stopped. It's the most important battle we have. Yeah. Now, what
about the LGBT though?
The LGBT. So basically, in a school in Birmingham, which is a massively Muslim populated town, like majority Muslim, that's one of their biggest cities in the UK. In a school in Birmingham, there were some children. One of the Muslim children come home and said, it might have been a boy, and said, "Daddy, I can be a girl." He said, "What?" So I can be a girl. Yeah. So the dad's looked at what's going on at school. So the Muslim parents have then got upset, and they've all started protesting outside the school. Now the media called them extremists. Now, and started condemning all the parents. So I started looking at what they were talking about. And then I looked at the person in charge of education for LGBTQ. I can't remember their name off the top of my head now. The person in charge in the area of Birmingham, so the person who was pushing this into the education system, I found a speech they gave 5 years prior. And in that speech, they spoke about smashing heteronormativity. So they say that smashing heteronormativity. So this person wants to smash the idea of men being with women. Break the family, yeah? That's what they want to do. And here they are now 5 years later in charge of the education system in this city. So while saying it's about inclusivity, what we're doing is it's about inclusivity and diversity. No, it's not, yeah? You've got your agenda and you're trying to enforce it on children. So with the Muslim community, I watched what was going on.
Real quick. If you had a son and he turned out to be gay, would you throw him in the trash or learn to love him?
No, I'd love him, yeah. Of course, I'd love him, yeah. But if your son turns out to be gay, there's a difference between your son turning out to be gay and being 7 or 8 years old and having it forced in his head that he can be anything he wants, yeah. And if boys are boys, girls are girls, yeah. And a child at the age of 8 and 9 does not need to be sexualised or having these discussions. Now, when the Muslim parents done that, I drove to Birmingham and I knocked on the Muslim geezer's door, yeah. So I knocked on his door and he's opened his door and he's, Tommy Robinson, what are you doing here? I said, I come as a father. I'm here as a father, yeah? I've watched everything you've said, bro, and I agree with everything you're saying, yeah? And at the minute you're being pigeonholed as extremist Muslims, yeah? There will be no better message to send than us aligning on this issue, yeah? We need to, because I think, whilst I speak about the threat Islam poses, there will be no better community to ally with on preventing the LGBT plus mafia indoctrination of children than the Muslim community. Yeah. They will not budge, yeah, and you have to respect him on that. And I've heard Andrew Tate talking about this as why he converted, and etc. He said like, and he messaged me, you know, when he converted, he messaged me saying, Yaks, that's what my friends call me, who grew up with me in Luton. Yeah. He said, would you rather your son come home a Muslim or a tranny? That's what he said. From school, he said, if your son come home from school a Muslim or a tranny, I said, neither. He's coming home neither. My son knows what he is, yeah? I'm not letting the education system bring him up, or TikTok bring him up. I bring him up. He has my values installed in him.
Well, you were talking about third wave feminism. Third wave feminism has women thinking they could literally just say anything they want and not get punched in the face. Do you agree? Do you agree?
Do I agree with what?
With that part of third wave feminism?
I think third wave feminism needs to be. I think it's a big problem. I think that men are superior at certain things and women are superior at certain things.
Yeah.